I mean,
sorry, Matt, who hasn't spoken yet. Sorry, Matt, what's been your take on all of this, mate?
You know what? Like, I kind of kept quiet on Twitter because I didn't want it to be like, oh, it's a typical Arsenal fan hating on Man City. It's not all about that. For me, it's kind of like, again, like Chatty Patty was saying, like, I haven't delved too deep into it. But the fact that someone like Man City is, going on against it, it's a massive, massive deal. And you look at the club that's gone again with them, which is Chelsea. I think that you start to worry about this league in general. The team goes and wins a trophy, and it's like, oh, okay, like, you kind of want to delete everything because you think City, do they deserve the league? And everyone kind of says, you know what? I don't care about them anymore, and what's going on with City. And it's kind of sad to see because I kind of want to give a team credit for when they do well, whoever they are. Like, it doesn't matter what team you are, but with City and Chelsea being up there with the stuff that's happening to money, listen, I don't give a damn about them. I don't want to see these two do well, and whatever happens, if I see it come out that whatever they've done is dodgy, let them crumble. I really couldn't care less. I really, really couldn't care less.
Yeah, I hear where you're coming from. What you said about not caring is really interesting. Have any of you read the Charles Dickens book, Bleak House?
No. Don't read, bro.
It's relevant in the sense of Bleak House is all about a court case that goes on between family members over inheritance. But it's in the story, it's very public. But it goes on forever, and they eat into their wealth and all sorts. But one of the real backdrops of the story is that the public were really bought into it in the beginning. Oh, I feel bad for him, or she's ruining him. But it went on so long that the public lost complete and utter interest, and they didn't care anymore. And there's something about this that also stands out to me, that the longer this is dragged on, the less people care and the less pressure that's put upon for a true and integral result. And that's why I think it's important to speak about these things, because you can't lose energy for them, because it's either the Premier League or the City. One of the two wants the public to lose interest because one of them isn't telling the truth. So that's why it's going to be dragged on for longer and longer. So read Bleak House. It's a great book. Super City here says the issue, Terry, is the APT rules are too wide ranging. The red clubs, it's not just the red clubs, bro. There's gold clubs, white clubs, and I mean white kits, all sorts of claret and blue clubs have all tried to make them so they can claim pretty much any company is related to us. That is what City are unhappy about.
City are unhappy because they can't get away with these tinkering deals they've been doing for like a decade. That's why they're like, oh, no, fuck's sake, we can't. I remember that they got sponsored by a company and someone done the deep search on it, and it was the sister of Khaldoon Mubarak, but the company had only been started and they had just sponsored City. Like, they're the most corrupt club in the world. And so every non-City fan in this world should be against Man City because they're trying to ruin the sport. If City are successful in suing the Premier League and getting away from them charges, what is the point anymore? That'll be like the Super League for me. I'll be like, you know what, mate? I don't have any interest in this anymore. Because what is the point? Because they can just bully their way because they have more money. Like,
wasn't there a report that they've grown in the last sort of 2 decades by 1,000% or something, and every other club is like 250 on average?
But there's a great point. Listen, if this is what I don't understand about it, I kind of get. If you're someone who gets targeted by the police, even if you've got nothing in your house, you won't let the police in because they might plant something there. We all get that, right? I grew up in the East End of London. These things happen 100%.
Right.
But this is a very different circumstance. If your sponsorship deals are legit, what's your issue with an independent company assessing the deals? Because it doesn't matter if they're if they're related, they're related. It's about market value per se. So if you've got a cousin or a distant relative who owns a huge business doesn't matter where in the world it is, and they want to sponsor you 50, 60, 70 million pounds, and they show the project and they go, look, this is why they want to sponsor us because we've got this amount of viewers all around the world. And this company's massive in Australia, but it wants to grow in the Middle East. It wants to grow in the UK. It wants to grow in America. And it's going to throw so much of its advertising budget through Man City that it believes it will grow all around the world because we've got this huge audience that watches us. It will get approved. It will get approved. That's the one bit. And if you've grown to a point, City, where your turnover is only 5 million less a year than Real Madrid. So the question, this is the question. If it's all real.
That's real. That's very real.
But if it's real, how are all these rules stopping you?
Exactly.
How much more do they think they should be earning? And how much more do they think they should be winning if
I
these
think-
rules were removed. That's the element that I don't quite understand.
It's
I
the idea
think
that they're getting blocked from sponsorships. I've just had a look. Man City have 38 sponsorships. 38. It's not like
They're all.
it's
They're all
not
from
like
UAE.
we've stopped them and they've got 3. They've just got 3 and they're
Yeah.
struggling. They've got 38.
Man.
So there's some literally that have Abu Dhabi in their name. There's a bank that has Abu Dhabi. There's obviously Etihad Airways, all of which have connections directly to the UAE. So it's not like the Premier League have stopped them type of deals either. It's just to stop blatant cheating, and they agreed on it 3 years ago. So it's not like it got done over their head and they couldn't do anything about it.
They voted against it. To be fair, they voted against it, but they voted to be in the league where the 2/3 majority rules. So it is what it is. This super chat here from Austrian United says it's like political parties getting donations from companies. City fighting this rule is like a politician trying to get rid of donation regulations.
Yeah, facts. But I think what the problem is with City is sorry, really quickly. I think now they have legit stake for every sponsorship and to be up there with the top teams in the world right now. I think the problem is getting there. How they got to this point, I am 100% certain there's been some fraudulence. But now
that's the point. I want to throw this to Mons.
100%.
Well, welcome to the show, by the way, Mons. It's one of those things for me where they've got there. Do you think this is City trying to, if they win this case and it gets deemed immoral, unlawful in the way in which we vote, the laws that are in place, do you think this is an attempt at them trying to lessen the blow or even get the 115 charges thrown out, which I know are for different rules being broken, but there is definitely a synergy and a connection between them because it's to do with sponsorships and how much they're really worth and who's funding them. Do you think this is City more so trying to get out of that situation?
Yeah, I think when it comes to Man City, I feel like they're, no matter what they do, no matter what they win, they feel like the dark cloud that kind of hangs over them is just permanently there. No matter what, like literally, no matter what they do, they can go win another 2 trebles in a row. That dark cloud is still going to hang over their heads, regardless of if it's true or not. Because at the end of the day, I think just through their lens, through the City lens, whether that's the fan base or the hierarchy, it's either cool, we win and we win this case, and people are just going to say we have the best lawyers, and because I'm hearing that as well. Even if they win the case, it's like, well, they've beaten the case. Doesn't mean you're guilty. Doesn't mean you're innocent. You just beaten the case. And then if they don't beat the case, then of course they pretty much have to start again. The fans are going to feel betrayed. So I think in their eyes, it's a lose-lose situation, Terry. So if it's a lose-lose situation, the next best way I feel like they've maybe looked at it is that, like what you said with the book, make the audience, make the crowd almost forget. Almost normal, like, you know what I'm saying? Make people forget, not make it the main topic to talk about.
Change the narrative,
Change the narrative.
I get that point by them, and I think it's, I do agree, and I've said all along, if they're found innocent, and when I mean found innocent, I'm going to read what went on and decide for myself. But essentially, if they're found innocent, then I'm going to say they're innocent within reason. Of course, we have to wait to see what comes out. But I don't know how many of you on this panel think or thought Michael Jackson was guilty in the 90s. You know, we don't need to have a show of hands. But the reason that dark cloud remained over his head until his untimely passing was because he settled out of court. And although he was advised to by lawyers, court of public opinion, which is essentially what Man City are saying is their issue, win or lose, they're going to be condemned. The reason that's happening is because they are stating we have unequivocal, undeniable evidence that all these 115 charges are incorrect and we can prove them. But they've done everything in their power for 5 years to not show the evidence. They may have been advised to, but I understand there's legal precedence versus what the public think and feel. But if the evidence is all there and you don't want the dark cloud to hang over, surely and I'll throw this out to the panel, surely the answer is show the evidence that you say is unequivocal. Because if they show unequivocal, undeniable evidence, no one will call them cheaters. You can't, because you can prove you're not cheating, surely.
If City weren't guilty, this would have been like, how can Everton, Nottingham Forest get one charge, boom, deduction? You know, City is, I'm sorry, allegedly, this is my thoughts and not the football Terrace, but they're as guilty as fucking sin. And that's what's going on here. And that's why this thing is coming out now. It's just diversion tactics. Like, as you said, if there was no problem with
Everton and Nottingham Forest, like, or was it, they gave the evidence and said, yes, we did. Whereas the City are denying that they've done anything.
Of course they've done it. Like, can you imagine if like City were able to get in, like the owners were able to get in before the real red tape around FFP and all these things, and they were able to get in and put their claws everywhere, and then have an entire City group, you know, and now they're in, they've established it, so they're able to keep getting away with it by splashing more money. And this is the problem with allowing states to own football clubs. It should never be allowed. And we're now with this Premier League, the court case, it's going to be a cataclysmic change for the entire game. Like,
but you know what it is? This is where I think the Premier League or whoever's taken the charges against them has made a mistake. I feel like because the 115 charges aren't all, some of them are petty as hell. And I feel like that's where their mistake is. I think they should have done the serious charges and kept to the serious stuff. But doing all this sort of the pitch sides was wrong, and you know all of this just, I feel like the 115 is what people are getting hung on too much. And it's just, I just want to see the serious charges be at least.
I agree and disagree. Again, I'm going to take it to normal court of law. This is what happens in most cases, though. Say the government are trying to get you on something serious, Souls. They will also look for misdemeanors and things that can damage your character. So if the Premier League can show a QC and a judge, look, we've told them 10 times that their pitch is too big, or this part of their pitch is wrong, and they keep, and it helps them.
It's a bit like, he sped it 2 times. He must have done it,
Yeah, I kind of get why they've done it. A few people are saying you can't compare the Jackson situation to football charges. I'm not comparing the crimes, you fools. How dense are some people? I am talking about the cloud being over your head. I feel for City fans in that regard, because even if they're innocent, some people will always call them out. Which is why I've said I can't wait to hear these cases. I want to hear them. I want to read them. I want to understand and digest them. Then you really know. At the end of the day, one thing that'd be great. Give me an example. Amber Heard and Johnny Depp. If that wasn't televised and we didn't get to see it ourselves, your opinion may be different.
I thought Johnny Depp was, because the perception that Amber Heard and her like PR team made of Johnny Depp, like with the crying video and the video to the police that she said, like everyone was like, okay, Johnny Depp's a bad guy, and like his Dior Sauvage deal was nearly like in contention of being taken off him and everything. And then the court case happened live. I feel like it's in City's best interest to provide the evidence. I think this needs to be televised. I think this should be.
They could make, if the Premier League has lost money on legal fees, you could charge.
Make it all back.
We'd all pay 20 quid each to watch this live, wouldn't we?
Yeah,
20 quid. We could get Coogan from IFL TV, the boxing channel, be like interviewing them as they're coming in and out of the courtroom. It'd be wicked. Keith, I'm sorry to be rude, Keith, but Keith says, well, you did, Terry, otherwise why bring it up, you fool? No, I'm not comparing the charges. I'm comparing the dark cloud and why there's a dark cloud if things are hushed up and no one gets to see the evidence of that. I swear that was clear.
I'm sure everybody understood.
I thought everyone understood these things. I thought everybody did.
Do you know what the issue is?
You guys got
it. He's an Arsenal fan. Don't worry.
Do you know what the issue is with the City thing and the perception? The idea that they are 100% innocent, they can get proved that in a court of law. But everyone saw the emails when they got leaked. Just because they're inadmissible doesn't mean they didn't happen, and that will always cloud people's views.
It's like the emails situation, right, at United. Mason Greenwood is a perfect example.
So regardless of whether City are proven innocent
I agree.
or not,
I agree with you. I agree with you because when the charges were dropped against Mason Greenwood, it stated that new evidence has come to light. The problem is none of us know what that new evidence is. So although
the evidence that we had was the video on Instagram.
No, exactly. So because we've seen it, we've got our minds are set and our minds haven't changed. Then they said new evidence has come to light. Well, for people to change their mind, they've got to see and hear the evidence because we've seen and heard other things, and it's never happened. So a lot of people will never change their mind, and I understand that. Why is Tom feeling sleepy? I don't understand. Have I missed? Is that something from a different show, a different channel? I don't know.
I think it's because he's back in his chair. I don't know. He's just chilling.
He's lazy. That's what it is.
He was just chilling.
I think it's not about sponsorships. In the end, it's a fight about the way the Premier League set up their rules. Isn't that the point behind the tyranny of the majority? The problem is with the statement of tyranny of the majority. I don't think when it was an invented phrase, they were talking about people with the money, the power, and the privilege of Man City's, Man United's, Chelsea's, billionaires. It's, and it's, again, we'll be very, very careful the precedent we set, because the matters is the Premier League is a genuine democracy where majority rules. 19 teams today voted against VAR staying. So can Wolves now sue the Premier League for damages because the tyranny of the majority voted against them? And by the way, City have just voted in that. So
I love the
City have just done the same thing. This is why it's mental. The language is trying to make it sound like Man City are being bullied. They today have done the same thing. They're accusing the Premier League of. I just deeped it. That's why it's weird to me.
What's I find hilarious is this tyranny of the majority. Like, we're acting like City are this like really harsh done by club. Like, what do you like? You literally are backed by an entire state. You've been able to come in and bully the entire league and buy your way to success. Stop playing the victim card, you absolute fucking frauds. You are the people abusing the rest. You are the problem. Like this. Oh no, let us spend $1 billion. Fuck off.
It's so crazy. It's like a person with a swimming pool moaning that it's expensive to heat. Like, that's a first world
you know
problem.
what?
It's a first world problem.
Not for nothing. This is exactly what Trump did when the charges that he was found guilty of, I want to say last week, they were first brought up to him. I think he was still the president, and he pushed it so far down the road with litigation and countersuing and whatever the case may be. We're in 2024. He's been found guilty, and no one's really talking about it. So I think that's what City's doing. To be honest, I think he's just pushing it down the road as far as humanly possible.
I think the main thing, though, I think everyone's just waiting to see the charges. Like as we said, there's 115. We just want to see all of them. Like we said, if they get found, I know Paddy was saying, listen, they're banged to rights. But if it gets found or not, then we'll hold our hands up. So you know what City did, but there's little things in that club. Like I think they've just ruined this league. I'm not saying that just because we've lost the league twice, guys. Let me just say. But
I know how you feel. I know how you feel.
No, but you know what? Because this is just a quick one. Someone mentioned to me, I read a thing on Twitter, and someone said, when was the last time you saw a City player move to a big club? Because I heard there's something where they get paid and they have offshore accounts that pay them extra. So like all these little things that I hear, I'm thinking, this club is nuts. They're actually getting away with murder whilst just destroying our league right before our eyes. So whatever punishment comes, I will be there to enjoy it. Don't you worry.
Can't all clubs just get together and vote them out? I don't think anyone would care.
Come on.
You can't vote them out. They still have to be guilty of something.